A mobile toddler is not really interested in sitting down and reading books. So, what do you do? This is a question that I've gotten multiple times recently, both here on YouTube and in my personal life from other friends. And so today we are tackling this head on. Hello? Hello? Hi friend, I'm Sarah and I'm a mom of 3. I have 2 boys who are 3 and 4.5, and then a new little baby girl who's a few months old. So we've gone through this process a few times of watching our child be really interested in books and sitting with us and cuddling with us, and then voila, overnight they can crawl, they can walk, and sitting still and reading books is no longer one of their highest priorities. So we have come up with lots of tips and tricks that have helped our family navigate this interesting, challenging season. And today we're sharing all of those with you. I cannot promise a solution to this because this is a natural part of a child's development, and in some ways that's comforting. It tells you that your child is developing properly and hopefully soon will also develop new skills of expanded attention span. So take some hope and encouragement from that, and also please let me know if these tips and tricks work for you. I really hope they do. I'm going through these in no particular order, just sharing all of the things that came to my head that I remember doing with our boys. And this was really recently, so these are fresh in my mind. The first tip is to keep things short and sweet. A developing toddler really does need those moments of movement. You don't want to stifle their exploration, their muscle development, and so you need to keep things moving for them, but you also should be taking some short breaks and just developing also their vocabulary and their skills for all kinds of things through reading. Your goal during this season probably should not be to have an hour-long reading session with your child every single day. Instead, creating little increments of time throughout the day where you can read some here and some there is a much better and more doable goal. The second tip is to use interactive books. Because I have a great love of literature myself and I'm an English teacher for middle school and high school, I face the temptation of wanting to bring the classics to my children and wanting them to sit still and enjoy them with me just as much as I do. But at this age, they really want things that they can do with their hands. And many books don't have that. So aim for the interactive books. If you don't have any yet, stockpile them. Not too many, because you'll find, and this is one of the tips, a repetition is one of a child's favorite things at this point in life, in the toddler stages. By interactive books, what I mean is books that have one or any of these things in them. Sounds, touch and feel, or tactile elements, flaps, pull the flaps, pulling tabs, anything like this. I will show you some examples of these types of books that got us through this season. The first one is a really cheap find that you can get on Amazon. It's called Open the Barn Door by Christopher Santoro. We just packed that away in our diaper bag and also took it with us on trips. So it was right there when we could grab a moment to read where we had to sit still anyway. And another one was Busy Farm. These are really fun books that just give lots of different tabs to pull. And also Where is Baby's Belly Button by Karen Katz. She has a whole bunch of these with flaps that are really fun for kids and also about babies, which they tend to be interested in at this age. The next tip is lots of repetition. If you watch your toddler closely, you see that they like to do the same activities over and over again to experience and explore cause and effect, and just to see if the world follows rules. The same is true of language. The more that the book is repeating, although not to an extreme, the more that your child sees how the language works. And examples of this type of book are Goodnight Moon, Brown Bear, What Do You See? 10 Little Fingers, 10 Little Toes, Hand, Fingers, Thumb, Llama, Red Pajama, because the sounds are repetitive and also some of the words and phrases throughout the book are repetitive. Your child gets to explore language that way and it fascinates them. These were all books that helped us in this stage of toddlerhood. So books with the same phrases and words repeated throughout them, but also reading the same books over and over again. You will tire of a book before your toddler will in most cases. And sometimes something that is familiar is the best way to draw a toddler in. Next tip is to use sing-song books. So Mother Goose rhymes, nursery rhymes are wonderful at this. Things like Row, Row, Row Your Boat and Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star in book form can be really helpful in maintaining a child's interest because you're kind of singing it as you're going along. The books that are repetitive also have this type of effect, and that's one of the reasons why they're so fascinating. My next tip is to have built-in reading times throughout your day. So make these part of your routine. After breakfast, maybe you clean up, you read a book, then you play. After nap time, you wake up reading a book. You can find out what are the best times a day for your child when they are the most attentive, and try to capitalize on those moments. Some examples for our family: the best times were after nap time because they were slowly waking up and wanted to be held anyway, and then before bedtime when they're slowly winding down. We also had some lulls in the morning hours and the afternoon hours where they were a little less active and we could naturally fit in more reading. Along with that is to have a special place where you read together. Sometimes we think of going to a novel environment and thinking that will inspire us to more passion for something, and for adults that might be true. But for little kids, when you go to a new environment, you're actually providing a lot of distraction, and especially at this age where they want to explore things. If you're changing up the environment where you're reading every single day, one day being in their bedroom, the next day being on the sofa, the next day being outside, the next day going somewhere completely different, they might be really thrown off and not really maintain as much focus on the reading that you're doing. So if you have a dedicated chair or a dedicated corner or just something that they know means this is reading time, it can be really helpful for signaling to them, this is where I need to listen. This is where we're going to sit together and be calm and quiet. Okay, this one is really, really important, and this is focusing on expanding their attention span. So this is actually something you can train them in. I know that we as adults can grow in our attention spans, and we think about that sometimes, maybe. But it is true for little kids too. They can grow in attention span. Jady Alvarez is a mom here on YouTube who has some great activities for expanding this skill for kids and working on it with them. So I will refer you to her channel. She does all kinds of different games, and her kids are pretty young in the example videos. I think one of them, the kid is like 2 or 3 years old. So you could definitely use this with those ages, and it might work for younger ages as well. But think about what you can do so that you are working on developing their skills for attention, for endurance, for patience. I will say that setting a timer or setting a goal for a number of books to get through in one sitting is okay. You can try to develop this skill in them, like this is what we're doing. They have to do that in a normal traditional school outside of the home, and they have to do it for other things in life. And so you can train them in that. I would say I want to caution against abuse of that and say, again, you cannot just hold your child captive. They do need to develop their muscles and other mental skills with movement, but it is okay to have a realistic goal of maybe we're reading for 10 minutes now and we're going to sit here. For really young ages, maybe it's 5 minutes, or maybe it's 2 books, or first starting off with 1 book and we're just going to sit through this. And I remember a few times where I actually held my wiggly son and just said, nope, we're going to finish the book first and then you can get down. And as I continued to do that, instead of just letting him go free whenever he wanted to as we were reading the book, he realized, okay, we have to finish it first, so I might as well just calm down. And they're young enough, they're small enough that it's easy to train them now rather than later. Again, just make it a doable and realistic goal and gradually expand that goal as they meet it. Reward them. So if you're making goals like we're going to read 2 books right now, reward them with something physical. It could be stickers, it could be a snack, or just saying, after this, we're going to do this to help them to endure. One example of how you could reward them with this is to make a chart and have every day of the week on that chart. And then after your reading time is completed, they get to put a sticker there. They know that that is the signal that reading time is done. And they also know when you start reading time, like, we're going to put a sticker on when we finish this book. Train them to sit for other activities as well. For example, snack time. So you're training them to sit in their high chair or in a booster chair or whatever. You're training them to stay in this one specific place to eat their food. Use those opportunities for training in other areas to work on their ability to follow directions, to sit with you, to listen to instructions. That can be really helpful in this area also of reading. Okay, next, getting activity in first and then having reading time. You get your wiggles out and then you read. I really love the song by Rafi, Shake, Shake, Shake Your Sillies Out. And we have a book form of this. And as we are reading this, my boys are moving, I'm moving, and it can be really a good idea to start with more active books like that. I'll include a few recommendations in the description box below that you can check out that we've really enjoyed, that are really focused on action. But you can also just simply go outside or do some exercise or do some playing with your child first, and then as their energy is released, they can feel a little bit more ready to sit with you and read. Keep books within your toddler's reach. If you keep them where your toddler can see them, touch them, grab them, look through them themselves, then you're more likely to find them initiating that they want to read something. And you can also just take advantage of the opportunity when they reach for a book, like, let's read that together. Let's read that. Can you read that to me? And they might babble away, but it's just a good way to build that love of reading and that love of books themselves. Along with that, don't scare your toddler off from books by being overprotective of them. This is not the time to pull out the heirloom pieces, like a book that your grandmother had when she was little. It's going to be ruined. This is the time for really sturdy books, board books. There are great books that are indestructible, I've heard. They are waterproof, they cannot be torn, you can put them in the bathtub, you can put them all kinds of places. It probably isn't the best idea to train your child to do whatever they want with those books because they don't understand the difference between that book and a regular book, but it can be helpful for you to have peace of mind that this book's not going to be torn. So don't find yourself overreacting when your child is not gentle with a book. Instead, show them that book is really valuable and inspire them to be gentle with it. Build upon previous readings and tailor the reading to your child. You don't have to read every single word every single time you go through a book. You might feel like this is cheating, but don't worry. As you work to expand your child's attention span, you will eventually get to the place where you are reading the entire story consistently. One thing I would like to emphasize, though, is that, in my opinion, it's not a good habit to develop to stop in the middle of a story. So I wouldn't take this tip to mean oh, you just want to stop right now? Okay, we'll do that. Instead, what I do when this happens, where I find my child has less ability to sit with me than normal, is I summarize the pages. So we still get through all of the book, we still sit together, but we might skip a few pages really secretly. We might just summarize what's on the page. But again, it is really a hard habit to break and a bad habit to develop, to jump around from book to book without actually finishing them, or to completely stop reading altogether just whenever your child is like, I'm done. Forming this habit doesn't lead to better attention span development and means you will have to correct it sometime later, or someone else will have to correct it. Just push through one book, even if that's all you get through in a sitting, maybe skipping some text to make it through, but finishing it all the same. And as always, there will be exceptions to this, but making it a practice to finish what you start is great training. Next, involving them in the story. You can do this through different sound effects. You can ask them questions about the book. You can have them hold the book. You can say, time to turn a page, and they turn the page. I find that really helpful with this age group, especially because they feel kind of in control or empowered as they are reading the book. Use a puppet if you need to help your child answer questions. Like use the puppet to ask questions, to pull your child into the story with fun. Also just using hand motions for this story, having them use hand motions, especially for story books that have songs in them, and maybe even having them read the story to a stuffed animal, or you together showing a stuffed animal the story. Making connections to stories that you have read throughout your day. We love the Very Hungry Caterpillar, so when we have several different fruit items or food items all together, we'll talk about the Very Hungry Caterpillar. It's a great way to help your child be really interested in that book. Often after we make those connections, my children will go and grab the book and they want to read it. So it just reminds them of the story. It helps them to feel like, oh, I love this. Another example is referring to lines from Brown Bear, what do you see when you're playing with a teddy bear? Using buttons in a sensory bin when you've read the book Pete the Cat and his 4 groovy buttons. You have a lot of fun with this. There are tons of preschool ideas on the internet. Busy Toddler is a great source for these, and you can start using those with really young ages as well, just to inspire interest and have a little bit of fun with the story. Finally, make the experience all about connection and fun at this age. It is not about academic things, although those are huge. There are huge benefits to a child's academic skills when you are reading to them, and that's one of the reasons why I say, like, make it happen. But the main benefit is really the connection that you are building with your child and language skills. So read together as a family. Include your child in reading times with older siblings if they have them. Use this as an opportunity for a lot of cuddling and physical affection. Just make it about connection to you as the parent with your child. Ask them questions about the story, even at young ages, or maybe just make comments throughout the story like, oh, that's so silly. Use your fun voice. You know, there's so many things that you can do to really optimize this time and all the benefits of it. Above all, don't give up, don't quit, push through, and you will find great benefit on the other side. Now, I will say, if you do have concerns about your child and probably maybe some potential learning challenges that your child might have, please speak to a pediatrician. Please speak to someone who can help you with that. But in general, children will move on beyond this stage and be able to sit with you for longer periods of time. Just as some encouragement, we dealt with very short attention spans when my boys were between 1 and 2.5. And even now, one of my boys has a shorter attention span than the other does. But we are at the point now where we can sit for 30 minutes to an hour just reading books, and my boys will pull out huge stacks of books that they want me to read. One of my boys actually is like reciting the books, sometimes verbatim, when he's reading them to himself, and he is reading but not at that level at all. And so, like, it has come a long way in just a short amount of time. My boys are now 3 and 4.5. So it can change in just a short while. Just push through, don't give up, enjoy this season. There are some really amazing things that are going on in your toddler's development. If you have any other tips that I missed, anything you want to point out, please comment below and let us know, because we all love learning from each other here. And if you have not yet subscribed to join this community, please do that. You will receive notifications from YouTube when new videos come out, and I am really excited that you're here. So if this video is helpful, give it a thumbs up. That helps it reach more people. Thank you for joining me today, and I will have some more videos all about reading and toddlerhood and preschool coming out really soon. But for now, you can watch more videos that are related to this topic right here. Thanks for watching today. See you guys next time. Ciao.